Hey guys, my name's Susannah Cole, and I run this YouTube channel, and I also run the Good Property Company, which over its years did £45 million worth of property. Not bad. For an agreed purchase price of 30 million quid. I'm just going to move the video, there you go. And also did over 200 deals. It was 217 deals we did in 4.5 years. I built a multi-million pound property portfolio, did a whole ton of flips. First 42 flips we did, we pulled in £402,000 more than, so basically you get the drill. I kind of know property, I've kind of made enough mistakes that I can share my mistakes and my knowledge with you guys so that you can succeed. So, YouTube channel, tons of playlists, have a really good look around, make sure you subscribe to get the videos. I've got so many brilliant videos planned for you guys, and also jump to the website. It is thegoodpropertycompany.co.uk. I have stacked it full of brilliant information and education for you that you can download so you can feel motivated, you can feel confident, and you know what to do, and so you're going to not have too many risks and succeed in property. That's the plan. But rent to rent. Rent to rent. Why do I say don't touch it when I really know my stuff? I mean, look, of course I get a few things wrong, but you know, I think there's only one other company I know about that's done more deals in our kind of space than me. So why am I telling you don't do it when it seems such an obviously brilliant and easy thing to get into? So what is rent to rent? First off, if you don't know what rent to rent is, it is renting the property from the landlord and renting it to tenants, and the bit in the middle, that's where you make your money. So you might rent it as a single let, and then you might rent it out with licensing, of course, as an HMO, and the profit, the bit in the middle, you make your money. Sounds good. You don't need the money to buy a house. You don't need the money necessarily always to refurb a house. You simply find a property from maybe a landlord that doesn't want to be bothered, wants guaranteed income, and you rent it out. Susannah, why are you against that? Well, let me be quite blunt. It will take all your time. It will stop masses of opportunities. And if you do rent to rent, it will absolutely, literally stop you being or becoming or having the opportunity to become a property millionaire. Let's get into it, shall we? So hang on. Problem with rent to rent is you agree to all the downside without necessarily getting the upside. So you've rented the property from the landlord, tenants don't pay, still got to pay the landlord. You've rented the property from the landlord, tenants are late in payment, still got to pay the landlord on time. You've rented the property from the landlord, you've got a void meaning you haven't got somebody to rent it, still got to pay the landlord. All the downsides, none of the upsides. You're committed to paying without somebody being committed to paying to you. Don't like it for you. And what else is there? So we've done the downside. Now let's look at time. Everybody, when they start out in property, they think that money is the real problem. The problem is not that. The problem is time. The problem is time. Just like put that in your brain. Tenant argues with you about light bulbs. It happens. You're wasting your time. The tenant breaks something. You're wasting your time getting it repaired. The landlord refuses to repair something despite it being in their contract. You're wasting your time. 1 in 5 tenants tend to take a viewing, and my team used to do thousands and thousands of viewings because I got a pretty decent sized portfolio. Literally thousands of viewings a year. You're wasting your time. When it's a people-based service with tenants, say you rent the property from the landlord and you put 5 tenants in, those are 5 people that you're going to have continuous conversation with. A tenant pays late, you have to chase them. You're wasting your time. Tenants suck up time, either the acquisition, the management, or when they leave and they argue because they broke stuff but they still don't think it's fair and they want to do against the deposit. You're wasting your time. Your time is used to find investors and to find discounted deals, and that's the important thing. That's where you should be placing your time, not being sucked backwards into being a glorified letting agent. You're not a letting agent, are you? And now let's look at the risk. So you have probably taken what you might term a full repairing and insuring lease from the landlord. Whether you know it or not, you probably have. So you've done an inventory, you've taken the property from the landlord, you need to return it in the same condition. Tenant wrecks it. Your cost. Tenant wrecks it, but you've got insurance. Still your cost, because did you know that things have, curtains, there you go, my lovely velvet curtains in Barcelona. Did you know that for insurance purposes, everything has a lifespan? So a bed typically will have a 10-year lifespan. A carpet will have, I can't remember now, I think it's a 5-year lifespan. That's my son. Curtains will have a 10-year lifespan. So if you can't prove the curtains were brand new when you took the house over and 3 years later tenants ruin everything, You might not even get any money at all for those curtains, or you might get 7/10 of the cost. Or the carpet, the tenants wreck the carpet 3 years into you taking over from the landlord. Even if the carpet was brand new, you're only going to get 2/5 of the money back. You still have a huge amount of cost, which the landlord's not going to pay because you've taken it on, because you have to turn it back into the same condition. You've got all the risk and none of the upside. And now let's talk about the upside. Who gets that? Landlord. Property tends to double every 7 to 10 years, very roughly. Who's getting that? Landlord. Do you get it? Nah, you're too busy arguing light bulbs. Landlord gets the capital growth. Why do I not want you to get into rent to rent? Because I want you to get into owning assets, because that is the biggest upside you can possibly have. Capital growth, appreciation, as well as obviously profitable rent. So for me, rent to rent is like a sweetie promising sweetness and gloriousness, but just putting on the hips. It's empty calories. It theoretically gets you into property, but actually all it does is suck your time up. So theoretically you leave your job, but you just replaced your job. So what I want you to do is learn how to find discounted deals and how to find investors, put it together, and eventually build your own property portfolio. So what is the alternative to rent? If you're sat there going, but Suze, I haven't got any money and I've got a desperate keen urge to get into property. Deal packaging. You find a discounted deal, you find an investor, you put them together, you charge the investor 5%. So if it's a 300 grand property, which will easily be these days, you're paid 15 grand, usually within 8 to 10 weeks. You're not arguing with tenants. You're not got all the downside where the landlord got all the upside. You get a serious amount of cash, 15 grand, usually within, it's kind of roughly 10 weeks. If it's a 300 grand property and you charge 5%. And the bonus, you are learning to find discounted deals. You are learning to find investors. You put them together. You start that way, 15, 15, 15, 15, woohoo, we got 60 grand. You then buy your first property because you've already learned to find discounted deals, and then you want to do some flips. Hey, you've already learned to find discounted deals and you've learned to work with investors. So it's a really simple step forward, isn't it? You've learned all the correct skills for long-term growth where you get the upside and you're not arguing about, well, yeah, once you have a property portfolio, you continue to argue about light bulbs, but guess what? You can outsource that now to a letting agent. One of the reasons why you should subscribe to this channel is I tell it straight. I don't have a particular agenda apart from sharing my knowledge about property because it allowed me to become financially free. So I'm not going to tell you stuff that isn't good for you. It's basically broccoli, but you know broccoli is good for you. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you share this with somebody who's considering getting into rent to rent. You want to stop them before they go into the cul-de-sac, the blind alley of rent to rent. You want to move them into deal packaging, that's for sure, and then owning their own assets. Remember, you can do it. I'm not trying to disparage or put you off. I'm just trying to tell you straight what is good for you and what is less than good for you. Okay, guys? So good luck to you. If what we've put out for you guys really works for you, then fabulous. Support our channel, click the like button, and thank you so much.